So let's see people's comments.
This is Bessie. This is David Bowie.
It is almost 8:36 here at News Talk 102.1 WFOY. Already 78 degrees out there this morning. It feels like 82, heading for a high today of 87 because it's July and it's summer and it's Florida.
Yes.
That's how it works. And I have special guests with me. They came back. I didn't scare them the first time. Yay!
Can't be scared off.
Sheldon, Gardner, and Jared Keever are with me from the St. Augustine Record.
Good morning.
Good morning to you both. To talk about, we want to know the inside scoop about all the stories that you have covered this week. And it's been such a busy week in St. Augustine. Sheldon, let's start with you. So much to talk about. And a lot of it seems to do with sort of property here in St. Johns County when you think of everything from the Embassy Suites to Santa Maria, downtown St. Augustine, Fish Island. But let's start with the Santa Maria because that's kind of been on the front page for a few days now. Tell us a little bit about that and what's going on.
Well, for some time now, the Santa Maria has been closed, and I think most people who live in town know what it is. It's over the Matanzas River on Avenida Menendez. It was a operating restaurant for a long time, and in 2015 it closed. And the owners of O.C. White's, which is nearby, bought the property. And what they want to do is build a two-story restaurant there, and but for at least a couple years, more than 2 years, there's been a holdup between them and the city trying to figure out how to go about doing that development. And basically the issues center on what rights they have to develop the property.
Yeah, because they want to do some other things. They want to make it so if you're on a boat, you could just pull up to the restaurant and eat there.
Yes.
I think they wanted to have additional seating space outside, didn't they?
Yes, they want to add, I think it's about 100 of 200 extra seats outside.
Mm-hmm.
One of the city's main concerns is about the dock, or the docks to the east of the restaurant. They say that adding those docks could hurt the operation of the city marina, which is just to the north,
right next door.
Navigation.
Yeah.
And the Santa Maria owners, or the owners of the property, disagree with that. But basically, this week they've submitted a development agreement that would, if the city commission approves it, allow them to go ahead and build the property and not have to go through all of the board approvals that we otherwise have to go through for different variances.
Because they've already jumped through one hoop and gotten approval from one of the governing agencies. I shouldn't say agencies, but boards, I guess.
Yes. The Historic Architectural Review Board, I think it was a couple years ago, they approved demolition of the current property and also the design plans for a new restaurant. So that's out of the way, but they would still need exceptions, I think, for having private events there and the seating and the docks also. So it's something that people have been watching for a while. It's a well-known property. Yeah,
and I think, and this seems to occur a lot in the city of St. Augustine. Number one, the struggle between what residents would like to see happen, particularly when you think about opening another restaurant and more people requiring parking versus someone having a business and trying to run a business in St. Augustine. And the fact that the O.C. White, the family, has had this property now for 2 years, and they're still struggling with approval issues from the city.
Yeah, and parking is one of the main issues too. They don't think they need to provide parking for the seats that were already present, the number of seats that the Santa Maria had. They think those are, they would just want to provide parking for the extra seating. So
yeah,
that's a big issue too.
Yeah. Very good. And I would think in some ways it's a little tough that all of this is heading into it's an election year, and 3 seats up on the city commission.
Yes.
And
Sure.
so, yeah. Well, Jared Keever, let's talk a little bit. Let's switch gears for just a minute and talk a little about, you've been covering the trial all week.
I have. Well, for most of the week. And I'm not sure what I've been doing the rest of the week. Sheldon,
Don't tell your boss that.
Sheldon's certainly been working harder than me this week. On, I can't even think what day it was now. Wednesday, I guess.
They all run together.
They do. I don't even remember.
A jury found James Colley guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder in the 2015 shooting deaths of his wife, his estranged wife, and her friend, Amanda Colley and Lindy Dobbins. And it was a pretty emotional and kind of gut-wrenching trial. It was tough.
I have to say, I've been here for 12 years right now, and it was just one of the most tragic, and I think all of us were stunned at what happened in 2015, because if I remember right, Mr. Colley had just left court about
That's
an
correct.
issue surrounding his wife, and it appeared that he went directly to their home. And
Well, he didn't go directly there, and that was
Okay.
part of the issue at trial was that he
okay.
he was convicted of premeditated murder, and they his defense team did try to get him off of premeditated murder and claim that he did go directly there with guns in his car and kind of snapped because of an argument. But the prosecution put forward a pretty strong case that he, using cell phone data and other things, that he left court, went and collected some guns, came back to the house, and essentially came through the back door of the house shooting at people, surprising them in the home. And so it was a divorce. It was a messy divorce, and he already had an injunction against him. That was why he was in court that morning.
Yeah.
He'd violated the injunction. He'd just burglarized the home the night before, and that's why everybody was in the house. They were there to they're kind of consoling Amanda Colley because her soon-to-be ex-husband had broken into the home.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it certainly has brought up a lot of I feel like additional discussions about the whole issue and issues surrounding domestic abuse.
Yeah, for sure. That's a very difficult topic for a variety of reasons. People feel uncomfortable talking about it. It's also, when you're in a situation like that, it's very difficult to protect yourself. There's only so many things. Essentially, what you get is an injunction in a piece of paper, telling a person not to violate it. And if they're bent on murder or harming you, a paper's not going to protect you that much. And it's a very, very difficult. And this situation is extremely sad. I mean, there's 5 children. Amanda, the Colleys had 2 children, and Lindy Dobbins had 3. So there's 5 children that don't have a mother now, and 2 who also will lose their father to prison. That'd be the best case scenario. The state's seeking the death penalty in the case. So there's a penalty phase starting on Monday.
Okay.
And that'll last for I think about 3 or 4 days. So
Are there a lot of people attending this trial?
there's family on both sides, which is a little different than typical murder trials. I've covered 2 since I've been at the record, and family on the defendant side rarely shows up, or just a very small contingent. Both sides of the courtroom are filled this time.
Yeah.
Which makes it, I think, more emotional. And I don't know if tense is the right word, but it's certainly, you can feel some energy in the air when you're in there.
Yeah, very good. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Hear more about what's going on this week in St. Johns County.
And this is still.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I know what to talk about.
No, you can't leave.
Smelly water, bad tasting water, water that leaves your clothes dirtier than
I'm
before
only
they were
saying
washed.
slightly
Don't worry.
inappropriate things because I know it's still on. Family on both sides. Which is
Well, the sound sounds pretty good. People were complaining that the audio was bad, but it sounds like it's.
Really, yeah.
That's it. That's all I know.
I'm wondering if maybe I wasn't speaking loud enough, but
I'm only saying slightly inappropriate things because I know it's still on.
Sheldon and Gardner.
I wonder where she is.
You can just chime in on everything we're talking about.
Yeah,
Julie.
it sure can. That'll really impress people. Do you have a story coming up this weekend?
I do. One of them. Well, I have a couple. One about a new pastor, a church in downtown St. Augustine. It was actually a church that kept Black people from coming in during the Civil Rights Movement. And now they have their first African American pastor. So it's kind of an interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Which church is
It's
that?
First United Methodist, the
Oh, yeah.
Pumpkin Church. And they actually had a reconciliation service in 2004 to apologize to the women who were, I think they were young ladies at the time, who were kept from going in. So I'm really looking forward to writing that. It's
Yeah.
an interesting story. Mhm. It's very interesting. Chapter mercy. We have an veterans and women who speak to secret adventures. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Rhonda, Laura, and everyone else.
The microphone doesn't pick up my stomach growling.
To say, Ted looks very excited about this conversation.
He always looks like that.
Yeah.
His primary activity is napping.
Oh,
Don't be offended.
I'm jealous. Yeah. Still think we should have a newsroom hammock for the occasional nap.
Might have to have a waiting list to use
Oh,
it.
probably so. Yeah. Cheat sheet again. Just attack myself with those.
From the Hamlin Express Loop Traffic Center this morning, checking in with Florida Highway Patrol. There is a vehicle crash with injuries and a roadblock if you're heading towards Jacksonville this morning, I-95 northbound near 9A, so it's going to be slow going there. Also, more very sad news from Missouri this morning. A duck boat accident there near Branson this morning. 2 additional bodies have been found there, and just a very, very sad story from there.
Indeed.
I'm with two of the folks from the St. Augustine Record this morning. Jared Keever with us this morning, Sheldon Gardner. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you. I guess it would help if I turned on your microphones. There
Yes,
we go.
good morning.
Sorry.